very competitive technical personals available here at competitive rates, and we have the very big market available, and there are also business friendly policies of our government, not only of central government but all the state governments are also trying to improve their policies to make the policies business friendly. So this sector is now growing, and as we have heard in the inaugural session yesterday, that it is the time where a lot of investment will come, and the various industries also will come forward for investment, and there is huge potential in the domestic as well as export arena. So in this important time, the importance of the process plant machinery, pumps and valves also very important, and that's the reason why this round table. And already we know issues of the this sector, and we are seized of these issues, and we are taking action. Maybe there is a need for R&D, there is a need for bringing the new technologies. Maybe we have to make our process more environment friendly. So these are the some of the issues that jointly the industry as well as the government has to work out, and how things can be smoothened up. If some procedural issues are there, how it can be made more and more simple. So that is the issue. So I hope the deliberations that will follow in the session will give us some idea and some takeaways, which both industry and from the government side we can work together and take it forward. With this, I think I will hand over to Mr. Karan for further postings.
Thank you so much, Shri Susunta Kumar Prahoji. That was really inspiring. We truly believe in your vision. The way you have been instrumental in steering the railway electrification program, we are looking forward to that electrifying spark in our chemicals and petrochemical sector, sir. Thank you so much once again. Now I would like to request Shri Nanda Kumarji, Chairman FICCI PVPE Committee and Chairman and Managing Director, Chemtrol Industries, to please share his views and enlighten the audience with your industry perspective.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Joint Secretary Sushanta Kumar Purohit, Vikas Dograji, and Sitanshu Bhatt, all learned giants of the industries, EPC companies, manufacturers, service providers. I am very pleased to be here and chair this session, because I am associated with this committee for the last 10 years plus. And in that 7 years, I was leading this round table. So I must say that I am blessed with quite a lot of knowledge, information, invigorating information from the deliberations which I had with the giants of the industry. So when FICCI asked me this time again also to chair, I readily accepted. I must say that FICCI's this roundtable, as well as the FICCI's capital goods section, has contributed to India's progress quite a lot over the last so many years. There is no doubt on that. Being academically, I am a chemical engineer with over 50 years of experience in the process industry. I must say that India has come of age. Why? Because 40 years ago, when we built a refinery, hardly 10% of the equipments were produced in the country. Process plants, pumps, valves. Today, in a refinery, 90% of the equipments are produced in the country. So you can imagine in 40 years, India has come of the age. When in a petrochemical plants, it is around 85%. So there is no doubt that India can certainly become the global manufacturing hub for process plants and equipments in the coming years. What we need is, as the chief guest said, need some amount of, I would say, integrated efforts by the governments and other stakeholders, and that's where we are meeting. And I thank each one of you for giving this opportunity to deliberate and take it up. We frequently take it up with MHI as well as other nodal ministries. As you rightly said, as Mr. Karan said, this is the mother of all the industries. Why? Because we normally say process plants, equipments, pumps, and or instrumentation is the horizontal to all the other verticals. Whichever vertical without these equipments, you cannot get the delivery. Which in other words, we are giving birth to those. So that is why he said this is mother of industries. Mother of all industries is no doubt on that. Whatever we produce in the country is nothing but the results of what we produce to the required specification, quality, and all the more safety. And on this safety, I have to specifically say one issue is, this one sector where one has to be very, very cautious, because every chemical produced in the country or petrochemical refinery, these are all part of the process of a lot of chemical reaction which takes place at varying temperatures and pressures, and also varying process parameters which involves various process emission as well as vaporization. So, and also results in corrosion. So these are the areas where we need to have critical areas of monitoring. So when other sectors, other startups can have unicorns, but to create a unicorn in this sector, it takes years. That's what where we have to understand that startup is a must, but at the same time, startup has to grow through a process of what MHI, earlier the DHI as well as the other ministry said is phased manufacturing program, PMPs. In the year 1980s, 70s, when we started collaboration, there is also industrialization was there. We had a terminology known as phased manufacturing program, PMP. We were allowed to have a collaboration overseas with a due process, and also allowed to pay royalty and an OFE fee, and attain the physical phased manufacturing over a period of 8 years to go to 15% to 75 and 80%. Why? Because everybody recognized the importance of the sector, and at the same time safety requirements. High complex processes there where safety is utmost parameter. So India has gone up a age. There are a couple of other areas which I will come up in my talk later on this, where safety is most critical. So on this I must say that we have really come up, and India has a great potential for this. Now I would like to touch upon what is the within these 10 minutes, I would like to touch upon 3 phases. What is the present scenario? In the present scenario, if you look at that, we have our, I would say, around $2.25 trillion is our GDP. And process plants, I would say capital goods around 15%, process plants will be around 5 million last 2021. The real picture may be slightly different, around $6 billion will be there. By I would say 2047, there is a vision document requested by the government. In fact, I had a query from the ministry, what is your vision? India should be 2047. And that question came, and I scratched my head. I said, I need to answer that, I need to think it over. After a lot of thinking process, I said this, today the per capita income is still hovering around $1,850, $1,900. Is it sufficient for a country with 1.35 billion people? So I felt that for any country with sustainable development, and this 1.35 billion, on which 65% is below the age of 35 looking for employment, and 20% what we know as below the poverty line, anywhere should be around $6,000 should be the per capita income by 2047. But if I have a figure of 6,000, I should not put 6,000, I put $10,000. Whether it really is that, I felt that by 2047, per capita income of the Indian should be $10,000. I know it's because when I calculated back that $10,000 to today's $2.25 trillion, what should be the GDP by 2047? I was arriving at somewhere around $42 trillion. Which I knew it is very, very difficult task, because even if I consider year-on-year growth, it's around 20% growth, it's not possible. But yet, I felt if you put $10,000, somewhere we should achieve $6,000 per capita income, remaining population at 1.35 billion people. With that, I felt that if you, that 104, in that I looked at, even if we have, if not 42 trillion, 30 trillion or $28 trillion is our GDP. 15% is the capital goods. $1.1 trillion should be the process plants by 2047. By 2029, we were looking at 2030, we are looking at $5 trillion. Now it is put at 2027, 28 is the $5 trillion, in which we should have, we were somewhere around 700 billion, 800 billion should be the capital process plants, which is really achievable. Why? Because The growth of the process industry, refining petrochemical, comes from African Sahara regions. And India has already developed quite a lot of credentials into that market by being a preferred or by being a principal supplier to refinery in Nigeria, in Dangote. We have India supplied over, I believe, around $4 billion worth of equipments. So India can certainly become a global player. India can certainly become a preferred vendor to process plants and equipments to refineries, petrochemicals which are coming up in the African region. That's because there are quite a lot of refineries coming up. Having said this, present scenario, we also have to look at, is it sufficient in technologically, innovation, as well as future requirements are coming in to stay on that. And we certainly cannot. So we have to look at what is it really today is happening. So in today, if we look at that, the growth potential is controlled by certain factors beyond what is technology, innovation, and development. And there are what is known as the 3 words of ESG: environment, societal, and governance. That's what will drive to global business. So we have to certainly look that we need to have ESG built into our organization. It is not only for technology, but also for getting the funding globally. So even if we do a global business, not leave alone African or other businesses to do, because you can't sustain only on them, we need to create, enhance our value chain into the global value chain. There we need to have compliances to global standards. And most of the process equipments are global standards because Indian standards are derived from global standards. So I personally do not think there is an issue from Indian standards because our Indian standards are well integrated. In fact, I must say that BA has done quite a good work over the last 6-7 years. MHI and other ministries have done really good work in integrating Indian standards to global standards so that Indian equipments are acceptable across. There may be certain areas where still some amount of work is required, especially on the instrumentation and control side. The testing laboratories need to be still integrated globally, or the certification agencies to have a global accreditation, which is on the way, because that way Ministry of Commerce and Industry is very open. The Indian testing laboratories are also upgrading to global standards. So I believe it's all work in process in the proper direction. So we will certainly get to that. But when it comes to certain critical areas which we look at, what is the future going to that? One is the digitalization. If we need to sustain in the global business, digitalization is the most important aspect of it. And in digitalization, I must say that in spite of the fact that we have done last 6-7 years, I don't say that much focused, but a lot of focus from the ministry, but from the industry side, there was a lot of hesitance to adopt the digitalization, maybe because of the conventional manufacturing methods and lack of digitalization process involved in adopting, or rather the fund flow not permitting for that, because in Indian industry 60% still contribution comes from MSME. They still have a challenge of cash flow, so they will certainly find it difficult to adapt a new technology, new skill in development area. But over the last, I would say, 5 years, ministry has focused on through National Skill Development Corporation. There are nearly 32 skill councils, which are already going to 40 skill councils, which is again FICCI process plant chief Mr. Anil Parab is heading the skill council. We are doing quite a good work on getting the skill. Now skill development is very, very important in this, and digitalization is critical area. And one is coming to digitalization, there are certain factors which you need to. There also government has taken, Ministry of with the telecommunication has done that. Even the latest one, they are also giving certain bandwidth to the industries in order to ensure that the connectivity, because connectivity within the shop floor to the top management is most important when it comes to digitization. So connectivity is being assured at least by giving certain bandwidth to industries. Government has taken quite a good initiative. Data acquisition is very important. That is within the organization, which is also a lot of companies are taking care of software side, data management, integration. And then the fourth point is the people and skills. Continuously enhancing their knowledge, continuously enhance their skills, which industry has to certainly take. There are not a lot of platforms available, but we need to certainly look at. That's an area where industry has to focus on getting into the skill development. Then required tools and technology. There may be some involvement required in terms of funding. that Ministry of Finance is also, even MHI is also willing to fund that, whatever the required tooling is required to get into that, what I said tooling, software tooling is required to get into that, and also a roadmap here to build. You can't really achieve the digital, over a period of 5 years, we need to achieve to that level of digitalization is very important. So certainly we will work on, FICCI will work on with the Ministry and Skill Development to get a platform developed on that, so that even the MSME, I won't say micro, maybe slightly difficult to get, at least small and medium and large, certainly on their own they will get into that platform digitization, because without that we can't be. What is required in the global businesses? Compliances, ESG compliances, competitiveness. We need to really look at the competitive, this very, and the third point, customer care. Whatever we provide, what service we provide at the local cost, at the fastest time. And that's where we need to look at from industry side, build required skill within that in order to meet the requirements of that country's societal systems, taking care of the safety and all other compliant environment. Now, in that process, we have to look, country has a target of 2070, the net zero. The net zero process which is coming in 2070, especially the mother of all sectors, which is the process plant and machinery, cannot achieve unless we do sector-wise, within our own organization. If it is a refinery, certain units, certain process, certain utility set, in order to get into that stage, at least by 2050, each one meet into net zero. At least near net zero, we need to struggle from today. So there are a lot of emphasis by the all the chemical process industries like refineries, petrochemicals, fertilizer plants to go into net zero by unit-wise. So there we need to put in how we can get into, because when you look at net zero, there are, I would say, emission in the ESG. I'm sure most of you also, there are 3 types of emissions: scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. Scope 1, which is direct we can control. Scope 2,
I think Nandakumar sir, because we have to hear from everyone. So
I will
conclude, and then we will come back to you again.
Yeah. So what I want to consider, we need to industries really come up to that required level. With this, I would like to come. There are some critical areas, is the carbon capture, carbon areas. We have to look at. We have to develop our process equipments required metallurgy. And when you look at one critical energy is metallurgy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sri Nandakumarji. With your kind of vast experience in oil and gas and petrochemical sector, this session would have been incomplete without hearing your views. Thank you so much once again for taking out time and to joining us today. Now, it's often said that it's not the organizations that are competing, it's the supply chains that are competing. Fortunately, today among us, we have a distinguished personality who has built a name for himself in the global arena, Mr. Sitanshu Bhatt, Global Director, Global Procurement, Linde Engineering. I would request Mr. Bhatt to kindly present his views on how you see the global perspective.
Yeah, good afternoon all. I think we have heard Mr. Nandakumar, and a lot of things he has talked about which applies to the global business what we have today. So I had been with this global projects and sourcing from India for last 1 decade, and I still remember 2014 and 15 we had been talking about Make in India and how Indian things goes global. And it has really, our suppliers, our manufacturing capability, our ecosystem, day by day, this thanks to government initiative and support, ecosystem is getting more user friendly, more market friendly. Now 2 things are really troubling, and which we are at a stage where we need to really think of is product and processes. Product what we have, product what we manufacture, and processes what we handle to manufacture such products. So we have everything. We have excellent manufacturing, we use additive manufacturing, we use all the digitalization platforms. But what about the R&D? What about the specialized areas? Still we are depending on the imports. So these are the few things. Another thing is the processes. We are having age-old processes of 1960s and 70s, and we are keep on going. We are never auditing those things. This will infuse the speed. This will infuse the scalability, right? And all this, if we start doing, then digitalization like IoT, ML, AI, all will going to, facilitate it forward and multiplier in terms of the performance. So if you see in terms of potential of 2021 or 22, we have around 4.5 billion USD is from this category of equipments. Out of that, what we are exporting is approximately 75 to 80%. So what we are exporting and how we get the response from global client is very, very important. So I have a mix experiences out of it, and I was just sharing before this session someone that in 14-15 we really supplied excellent quality, and we had been getting the good numbers. Again, based on that performance pilot run, things were encouraged to give much more business, and then we started showing up. We started showing up the casualty on the business. Our castings are problem, our things are leaking, our things are breaking, no site support. So such things are really killing. My request or my own view on this maintaining this number itself today is require a lot of effort. I fully agree we have to go with the growth rate of 8-10%. We have to do that. But doing that, we have to run extra mile for say. And all the stakeholders sitting here, I would urge government, like we have social responsibility, 1 or 2% expenses of our total expenditure. I request, why can't we have 1% on research and development? Why don't we collaborate with the foreign supplies, foreign technology providers, and that is all doable. And today, companies are doing it. It's not that something I'm talking out of my sleeve. This is out of experience I'm talking. So, real problem lies is what we sell, what we execute, and what we deliver. All these three things are not in line. So, there is a mere need of consistency and sustainability of the commitment what we make to our supplies. That's specifically foreign supplies I'm trying to talk about. What Nand Kumar ji has talked about, we need to understand the various needs, code, standards, certification. We take it so lightly and we are actually get trapped into it. I'll not take much time because forum has to also discuss. But my only request is, if our quality and deliveries are sustained and consistent, sky is the limit, I tell you. Every year we have budget of 4.5 billion USD. But out of that, how much I am sourcing from India, don't ask me the numbers. But we can have fantastic numbers, provided we work on this. For just in this forum, let me just put up, if I quote from Indian side, they add another 2 months time plus to my delivery commitments. This is what we are having feedback from out. And second very important thing is equipment reliability, availability, operability, and safety. These are the very important aspect. And people are gauging our equipment on MTBF. All of you must be aware that how our equipment are really operating, how they are behaving on the plant. So, and after sales services and all this stuff. So we'll discuss it forward, but my request is we need to sensitize. We reach to certain level which we call learned helplessness. And from there, if we have to go forward, then we have to really re-engineer the things. Then only we can move a next step. We are at a point of, stagnancy, I would say. And if we have to break stagnancy, we have to break the mindset. What rightly said is trainability, cultural shift, all those stuff. We need to understand the culture of to people whom we are selling, we are putting up, right? We cannot behave the same line to the Japanese and Americans and Chinese. These all are the different culture. They perceive you differently, right? So with this, I feel my request and urge to industry and the stakeholders is we are trying to be ambassador for the product we push out in the market. But at the same time, the responsibility lies with us, how fast we are responsive to the lesson to learn and lesson to be learned, right? So we should not make the same. One casting is failing and another project, same casting is failing. So then we don't carry a face. And once it is ruled out, means there are people around us, China, Korea, these all are watching and they grab the things. I was just talking to Sir, Vikas Sir, just before this meeting, that is an excellent opportunity for us to blow and we can really give a good shape. So it is industry who has to sensitize on quality and delivery and cost. Touch wood, we are really competitive. But we have to ensure that we give the needs and requirements, understand it seriously and execute in the same line without the hiccups. That's all, and that further we would definitely discuss forward. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sitan ji. In fact, we were requesting Secretary Heavy Industry sir to join here, but Secretary Heavy Industry and both Joint Secretary Heavy Industry, they were busy with some work. And we are privileged to have Mr. Vikas, they deputed Mr. Vikas to this. And we have the pleasure of his interaction with us. And what I suggest because the rate of growth of the sector is very high. So what should be our the government side, what we can do, and what the industry side, what suggestion or what they can contribute. If you can in this 1 hour of session, if you can deliberate and take away 5-6 points, then I think that will be ideal. So I'll request Karan and all the, now because we'll have interaction one by one we'll have. So if you can kindly focus on what the industry can do, because the challenge before us is very huge. It is an opportunity that which India is having now. May not be we are having this opportunity in a later point of time. So we have very limited time to just do something, accelerate our progress, our requirements. We have to improve efficiency. We have to bring in new technologies. We have to work on a greener. We can reduce environments. We can improve the environment, our processes, so that the pollution, etc., is reduced. So all these things are a big challenge for us. So what are your suggestions where we can work together to accelerate this process of improvement, or bringing in more investment, or to improve our export potential, etc. So that we can, I think, currently, I think that is the agenda mostly.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So once, after this we conclude the session, we'll prepare a document and we'll share that with you. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Since we have more number of speakers, and I will request to kindly focus on the points, so that we can, take all suggestions, and that will improve on this thing. Please, Karan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhatt. The views shared by you are truly a reflection of a global procurement leader. Thank you so much once again. And thank you so much, Sunta Kumarji, for your views.
And at the end, we'll have a view of Mr. Vikas also after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're noting down everything, sir. Now, gentlemen, we move on to our next session, which is a roundtable discussion. This session would be of 50 minutes. I would request you all to kindly participate and share your views, and kindly keep it short and crisp, like sir said, so that everyone gets a chance to share his views, right? Now, the theme for today's discussion is technology, innovation, and collaboration in a supportive ecosystem, a paradigm shift of India's process plant, machinery, pump, and valve industry. Now, in 2019, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, had set a target to make India a 5 trillion economy. In order to achieve that, each state must recognize its strength, define its targets, and develop a roadmap to achieve the same. Now, urban areas will be key in future development and employment generation. Therefore, urban local bodies must be strengthened, and urban planning should be done innovatively. Now, in order to attract investments in the country, PM Gati Shakti should be appropriately implemented. Now, our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has on many occasions stressed on the need of improving the usage of technology in all the areas. Now, with that being said, I would like to pose my first question to Mr. Manoj Gupta ji. We all understand the kind of global turmoil we are facing, with China still struggling with COVID lockdowns, Russia-Ukraine war, US and Europe in recession, but yet India emerges as a shining star with a GDP growth rate of more than 7%. But all of this global supply chain disruptions have been impacting us somewhere or the other. Your company being one of the global players, how are you managing adequate supply of critical raw material for your equipments? Do you also suffer from supply chain disruptions? What are the tactics to make India's PVPE industry ready to handle supply chain disruptions?
Yeah, good afternoon to my all colleagues and the respected. To answer this, yes, honestly, there is a challenge every organization might be facing, and every organization is finding the solutions, ways and means. So if I talk with a relevant example, we got one of a good order from one European country, and we introspected knowing the reasons we will face from the supply chain point of view. We came out with some strategies. We changed our 5 strategies of supply chain, and we came back with a solution that if we are going to come up with an ecosystem supply chain also, keeping in mind the backup of the suppliers, keeping in mind your inventory management, and also making a contingency plan. So contingency plan with the stakeholders within the organization. So we could manage by 4 weeks, minimizing the time. But absolutely, as you rightly pointed out, this is the one green area where we all have to work by different ways and means, knowing our strengths in the organization and the improvement areas. And lastly, as sir has suggested some inputs to be given, we will definitely on one-on-one basis we will share after this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
If any organization is doing that, should be shared so that at least we can improvise. This is a very good system improvement that you did to improve this some
Right.
problem, some problem solving. So that can be shared if it is shareable. Yeah.
Surely I will share that, but to share here, as Mr. Nanda talked about, one thing that we are in a race of having growth. As Mr. Bhatt said, growth has to be sustainable, it has to be consistent, but it has to be profitable also,
Yeah.
from my point of view.
Yes, yes. Without
And
profit.
Mr. Nanda has spoken about corrosion. So we have to take care of our ecosystems accordingly. So the solutions has to be energy efficient from the manufacturers, and from the users also they have to take care of this. It has a both way. So we will share with separately after this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for sharing your valuable experience with us. Now, I would like to request Mr. Kaushik Banerjee, General Manager, L&T. What should key strategic initiatives be to ensure businesses survive during crises like COVID-19? And what are the key expectations from the supply chain participants in your industry?
Thank you, Karan, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kaushik Banerjee. I look after the marketing and business development of one particular vertical of L&T, which is L&T Heavy Engineering. And incidentally, we make equipment for the process plant industries like refineries, petrochemicals, LNG plants, gasification plants, and so on and so forth. So our experience during COVID-19 has been like all of us have faced. There have been a lot of challenges which we had to overcome. But I think it's a true test of our skills and resilience that we came out with quite flying colors, in the sense that even during all the lockdowns and COVID restrictions, we managed to maintain 100% delivery of our equipment. And that's what, is probably a benchmark of what our customers look forward to. And as sir was mentioning about best practices, that majority of our equipment is actually exported outside India. So the clients there, they come to us and look at us not as L&T, but as an Indian industry representative. So if they have perception problems that if you award a certain contract or a job to an Indian company and it will be delayed, like what was mentioned, that 2 months cushion is taken as a delivery, then we lose out on our competitiveness to the rest of the world. And actually, we are positioning ourselves right now to be the world's #1 fabrication company in the world. We are among the top 3 companies right now at this present moment. But to aspire and become the best, you need to do what even the world has not thought about. So this COVID crisis has given us an opportunity to look at things to be done in a different way. One particular thing that we have adopted in a large way is IIoT, or the Industrial Internet of Things, and digitalization. That is, most of our activities in the shop floor are now being automated, and in the sense that we are not using robots, we are using the same human skills that are there, but then we are adding technological support, and processes are being improved so that our productivity goes up manifold. And also we are able to do a lot of work from a remote location. These are the need of the hour that we faced during the COVID crisis, that we had to work from home in a substantial manner, and we are not IT companies that we can do all our work sitting at home. That means people had to be in the shop floor attending to their productions and machines, things like that, but then our manpower intensity had to be staggered and reduced in a way that work can go on, but at the same time life cannot be endangered. So all these mechanisms that we had put in place, I think, are going to be sustained over a period of time, COVID or no COVID, or even something like COVID or COVID-X comes up in future. We are ready to face these kind of challenges by doing things that we have done in the past. One other thing which Karan mentioned about the supply chain, I think there are lots that we can talk about, which probably I'd like to learn from others as well. But in the sense, in terms of supply chain, we have now learned to reduce our dependence on imports. Atmanirbhar Bharat, anyway, government is being pushing in a big way, but even our own equipment that we manufacture, we depend on raw material to be supplied by many supplier vendors from outside India, from Europe, from Japan and elsewhere. We are trying to see how best we can localize these procurement, because that's how you can overcome these difficulties of getting shipments done, all the logistics issues that come up, and restrictions from importing from China and other places, which we have been regularly doing. So more and more we are trying to indigenize all these raw material sourcing, and trying to even impress upon our vendors to adopt these kind of digitalization and automation techniques, which can integrate and develop this ecosystem so that everybody can work in a harmonious way and synchronized to deliver the products in the best possible manner that we are aiming for. Thank you very much. I'd like to listen and interact with you in due course of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Banerjee. Thank you so much. That was really, really nice, you sharing your experience. Now I would like to request Mr. Dinesh Satisan, President and Chief Marketing Officer, Sanmar Engineering, how to be less dependent on the global supply chain and utilize more Make in India products.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all, and thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this elite panel here on discussing our vision for the future. I represent Sanmar Group. We are into three verticals: chemicals, engineering products, and shipping. So we do have experience of using the products, the plant machinery, pumps and valves in our chemical process. We manufacture those products, and also we have a back-end integration with the foundry that we own. So in terms of supply chain thing, I think we have, I think the last 3 years, the pandemic has taught us a lesson that the global supply chain is very fragile. We were much dependent on the global supply chain. It was working probably certain to the expectations that we had, but this disruption, the supply and demand imbalance, there was the COVID, followed by the US-China trade war, followed by the geopolitical situation. All these things have really put a stress and strain on the global supply chain. We at Sanmar have long back, I would say, since we were running the chemical plants in the south in Tamil Nadu, in the early 70s itself, we had recognized the need to, those days it was most of these products were imported, and there was, as then said, the license Raj, to get a product imported was really difficult. So we had the vision to go ahead and explore opportunities to build joint ventures with leading number 1 or 2 companies in the world that manufacture these products, the flow control products and solutions. So we have been successful in running this. We started in 1970s, way back in 1970s. What we now talk about the Make in India and Atmanirbhar programs. I think we have successfully for the last 40-50 years we have been running the joint venture partnerships. You talked about the need for technology to be foreign technology. Foreign technology is not bad, and we should not be saying no to that. But we manage that foreign technology and manage the operations here to produce those products and supply to the Indian industry. We cater to the cracking and refining, the petrochemical, chemical, fertilizer, name it, any industry that handles fluids in gaseous or liquid form. So for us the challenges were, there were certain components we were still dependent on imports. Even our foundry was dependent on scrap materials and alloying elements. These were all challenges, and with the Suez blockage, with the material movement was a problem. So we did work on making backup inventory pile up, and stocking is a short-term thing, but we did work on trying to work with with our end users who are using our products, and also with the back end our suppliers, to ensure that there was a smooth transitioning. We gave them advance notifications on possible spikes in demands, and we prepared them to be ready for that. We also, our customers were also very supportive in terms of helping manage inventory at their end also. Typically in this process industry, managing inventory at the customer end is not always true, but the chemical process industry has been supportive in that role by managing some inventory for us, the finished products. So that way, I think we have been able to overcome these things, especially the wax and sand in the foundry was difficult to source during these times. We had the benefit of working with these people and working out a plan to get over this thing. I think we have been successful so far, so good. But the challenges are still there. We cannot rely on what we have been able to do now. We need to get more of the imports into India, onshore those manufacturing here, so that our dependence is less on imports. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sathijanji. So did you shift some of your work to Indian manufacturers, or did you develop some new manufacturers over here?
We did some of the imports. We moved away from Europe to India. Fortunately, there are certain companies that are producing those things. The fluoropolymers, for example, which goes into sealing of valves and mechanical seals and any sealing component. So these things we were able to localize, develop the thing as required to meet our quality standards. So that's something that we had done.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Sathijanji. Now I would like to request Mr. Sanjeev Baby-Lawny, Managing Director, Errand Enterprises. What are the expectations and must-have parameters from domestic manufacturers to ensure that they are equally good as globally known names?
Good afternoon. I would share my views. I think we are one of the companies which is basically importing as well as exporting. So I think I can give you my viewpoint looking at what are the expectations when we import and what are the expectations when we export. I think the Indian industry has come a long way, and quality is one of the most important factors today, where anybody who's buying any equipment, he wants the equipment should be of very good quality. 10 years ago, I think that was not the case. If somebody's buying a pump, he used to say, okay, I'm buying a pump, let it work for 1 year, I'll change the pump and buy a new one. But today everybody talks in terms of mean time between failures, downtimes and things like that. So I think quality has become a very important factor for everybody, and Indian industry is gearing up quite well, and they are doing well. But I think there is still a scope of improvement. I think we would have come maybe about 85 to 90% where we should be, but we have still not reached the stage of 100%. My personal experience when I share this is basically like when I'm exporting something. I'm giving you a live example that I exported some equipment. I gave it to a party which is a very well-reputed party in India. Maybe they were overbooked and they outsourced it to a smaller party. Maybe they were also booked and they outsourced to a smaller party. The material was third-party inspected. We exported it. When it reached the site in a European country, there were certain quality issues. And when we went down the line to find out where those issues came, I think we came to know that at the bottommost level, where we are expecting good quality, I think there was certain amount of mess up which happened, and that led to a situation where I think everybody got the bad name. So I think wherever I personally feel that it goes down the line to the lowest, maybe a small MSME party which do not have that kind of resources, but he is supposed to give a product which is of the best quality, there I think is we somehow try and mess up there. So that is one thing I feel personally that it should be attended to. Second thing is those companies who are in India who are manufacturing, and they are a manufacturing hub for Indian industry as well as global industry, where they are required to meet the same standard because they maybe export 40%, 50%, 60%. I think there the quality is generally maintained well. But when it is more of India, maybe some amount of compromise might happen, because those companies, they want that a product coming from India, coming from Asia, coming from Europe, coming from US should be of the same quality. So I think these are few of the challenges. We have come a long way, but I think some amount of things have to be done at our end to improve it further. Thank you.
Sanjeevji, you've told me about the problem. You haven't told me about the solution. How did you manage that? I would be very much interested in that.
No, ultimately, I think that equipment was meant to come to India again. It was exported, and ultimately it was a back import to India. And we gave the confirmation that this would be attended in India. So when the equipment came, we attended here and resolved that issue. It was more of a corrosion-related issues related to metallurgy. So we could fix it up when the equipment came back to India.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, dear Anurag Sharma ji, since you represent a global brand, Parker Hannifin, what are the advantages of being a global name over domestic companies? What are the key challenges that you notice in doing business in India and in export markets?
Yeah, thank you and good afternoon, everyone. I think all in this room probably somewhere when we also associate on a personal or professional basis, we always look at global brands. It's kind of bias that we have built over the years because of nurturing, education, societal pressure, name it. So when we think about global brand, the first thing which comes to everybody's mind, whether you're procuring or you're banking, is reliability and quality. And that is something which is always built over years. And there are enough experiences by way of digital or word of mouth or literature that you read, that you think about a global brand being a reliable product. When we look from industrial scenario, especially relevant to this forum, is that everyone tries to either will be like a global brand or want to become like a global brand, either aspirationally or in their intent. So having worked in this sector for almost about 40 years, I feel the first thing which comes to mind as advantage is the acceptance. As soon as I started my career as an old guy who will walk into industrial area, see smoke coming out of chimney, and then you enter the plant. So being a global brand guy, I never faced any resistance of somebody entering or allowing me to enter the plant, even unscheduled. That is advantage number one, because that is acceptance all over. And secondly, when people buy those products, they already have at least one or two areas of their concern eliminated, that it's going to perform, and it has the reliability, and they focus on other areas of plant operation. At least those, the only area of, which can bog people down in not making all the time the decision is the cost. And luckily over with the government initiative, even otherwise since liberalization of 1991, there are a lot of changes happening in industry, and lots of companies are showing promise in coming here. With little digression, I was hearing everybody, I think India has a unique chance at this stage, because we are midway between, I would say, I don't know how, maybe diagonally or with some ways, between Japan and Germany. India's unique advantage to become one of the two, or maybe better than these two. So I think that should be the aspirational requirement for Indian industry to be their own benchmark, rather than taking benchmark from Germany or from Japan. We create, because we have learned enough. I think Maruti was a great company to have come to India because it brought quality culture, and with the liberalization of import, a lot of German technologies traveled, and of course from Europe and USA and also. So, and I'm saying at the extent of being a US company, you know, still I'm not mentioning them. So, having said that, there's a lot of acceptance. Sorry, can you just repeat the second part of the question?
What are the key challenges that you noticed in doing business in India?
Yeah, so very good. So the challenges are, I mean, I just quote old reference. I attended a CIA presentation much like this way back in 1988, and that was military and industry partnership. So one of the key challenge which comes from industry was, can you deliver your best product at cheapest price? So that was the military, I think, multiple star brigadier or some level was asking that question, and we asked them, you want cheap and best? Then he took back the question, you know. So that still remains, and in many ways, I mean, it's comic sense, but you know, fact of the matter is, everybody has to sustain. I mean, where your products go, those companies have to sustain. So obviously, cost is a big challenge. There's a lot of companies like global companies, including our company, has put up 8 plants in India, and its number is only growing because India has so much of promise. So not out of blue that I said it should be India's time, and I'm so glad that I had so many good stories from the front panel desk about what India should be aiming and aspiring to do. Its time has come that we create Indian standards that people should start qualifying up to. I mean, why should we only be talking about API and such standards when we have to give equipment into petrochemical? Why should not be an Indian standard which start traveling to the world? First qualify and then start talking. So that should be some, I mean, some suggestion. I mean, it may be very novel at this stage, but somewhere you have to start thinking aloud when we are talking 2047, that we should create our own standard as a country, that other countries start qualifying and then start selling into Indian market. Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked about BIS, so probably raise BIS to the level that things become little difficult for us, because we also find difficulties, you know, as an Indian manufacturer to export out, you have to meet those many standards. So like that, why is India should have that standard? And exports, I think our friend Sanjeev covered many aspects. So still, I think biggest hassle or you know, remains is the infrastructure. I mean, I have widely traveled. I think virtually to probably thousands of industrial areas, in at least 1,000, if not more. So I know they're pathetic. You talk about our company, headquarters in Mumbai. We have a front road which leads to our factory. 20 years I've been working there. We cannot build that road because the government agency has to build the road and they will not build it. We know the reasons. That's the very sad part. We have a lot of good things about India's story, but some reforms need to happen also at government level about these. Because some companies, for example, we are a very shining big company. It's a fortune, I don't, whatever number, but 5 top stocks of the world, dividend paying. Even that company's headquarters cannot have a proper road in front. For reason, we will invest. If somebody comes from a government sector, let us also put money. That's not happened for 20 years. Sad commentary, because all time our president, CEO comes and they see the road and it become bad. And that's the story for most of the industrial areas. There are, barring few, the private ones, the water controlled by state governments or central bodies. The industrial area health also have to improve. They start looking like 5-star. You travel to China, look at what kind of industrial estates those are. You cannot believe that you are in industrial estates. So I mean, those are small requirements, but I think I use the wrong word, small. Those are basic requirements which have to be done. I mean, what are we talking 2022? We are talking 2047 and beyond. Let's build up at least basic things first, you know. So that's the only input at this stage from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. I'm sure we'll take a note of that and we'll share it with the relevant people. Now, I would like to, sorry.
And I have live example. I will invite you to our factory, beautiful factory, 1 lakh square feet of office, 1 lakh square feet of factory behind. That's what I'm saying. Even today, it's in pathetic state. For years together, it's dug out, nothing happens. And you know, as a American company held by ethics, we cannot do anything. Very simple.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, now thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. Now I would like to request Mr. Nishad Bhatt ji from again Parker Hannifin. Apart from these things, are there any other support that you're expecting from the government?
Yeah, see, I generally coined again what Mr. Sitanshu Bhatt has identified and what Sanjeev has coined out. See, whenever an international companies come into the land of an India, we have an objective keeping into the mind, right? We look after either the market acquisition or mitigate the supply chain challenges, right? Now, or a cost benefit of a manufacturing. Forget the cost factor nowadays, we all know, we all want to grow and become a rich. But I think to mitigate our market acquisition, when we coming into the India, we bring up not only product but processes with us. And the process it drives the quality output, right? And when we are being compared with the local manufacturers, those who are not up to that process, they just like to identify and make the equivalent product line. So we somehow, what coined out by Anurag Sarmaji, our standards should not define the parameters but the process standards, which will help us to be an equivalent to the global levels, and at par with the other continents and the other countries, and that will really boost us to that level, and we equally like we get an opportunity to compete at the global level. Next most important thing is like what other industries are doing, like medical devices and everything. We are getting a cluster developments, right? Somehow this industry should focus on that. At some basis we should have a cluster, like we have certain small clusters wherever refineries or petrochemical industry are there. But to boost up this India, we need a clusters somewhere at a with a good infrastructure. We can easily do the export areas and everything. So we all get together with the casting manufacturers are there, the elastomers manufacturers are there. So we all set together, mitigate our supply chain challenges, and can attend the global level challenges. So that is what we look after as an international companies. We have invested a lot from last 10 years. We look forward to invest more. Another thing is like when we are coming and setting up new things, we are getting a lot of benefits. But government should work also on what we invest during R&D and expansion also. So that will encourage us keep on pouring more money into the Indian markets and into the Indian manufacturing services. That's all what I want to add.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now I would like to request Mr. Shashi Shekhar, Senior Vice President, Epsilon Carbon. What are the key challenges to adopt sustainable energy in India, specifically in the PVPE industry and its end-use industries?
Actually we belongs to Epsilon, which is basically a chemical company. So in terms of say renewable energy, we believe into its mainly the capex, where the major challenge comes is the what you invest and how far you are getting the benefit. And in that the government sector, government's help is required a lot. Now in terms of renewable energy, we also need to look into use of energy with your core sectors. I'll give an example. We are related to steel plants. So we are a coal chemical company processing, which is some material coming from steel plant. So how you can use your intercorrelated energy. It's not only sustainable, we talk sustainable, fine, it's required capex. How you can relate your links, or how can interrelate your energy, like from your one plant, one energy there, that may be extra or that you are wasting. Like steam from some plant, whether you can develop your energy cycle to use that steam, or that some extra energy from a coke oven. I just give a simple example there. Coke oven, there is a lot of extra energy. In lot of steel plant, it's wasted. But you can use, like we put the distillation plant, we use that energy. So in that, from my side, it's more of a help from government if you want to renewable energy. And second thought on the interrelated energy use into your correlated industries, which is actually nothing not happening much in India, that you can set an industry related to that which can use that energy, or a complex type of thing where you can have a correlated complex, where in China it's a very common, we come from that industry where a coal complex in China, but India that's not there. So we are the only coal complex in India. So that way I think is our government's help is required into that. So we want help first in, if you are a correlating energy, or like I'll just give example, in place of electricity, if I am using a gas from a steel plant, so the capex cost invested into getting that gas is huge. Like you have to put a pipeline for 10 kilometers. So that the capex cost is invested, no benefit of that. Like if I'm using an electricity, ultimately I am burning your fuel, I am burning coal, which is ultimately is not beneficial for anyone. We need to work on a renewable energy. So in place of coal, if I am using that extra energy which goes as a waste, so if I am using that and I'm putting a capex of 200 crore to put that line, there is no benefit from the government for that investment. So we, in terms of policy, we need help. If we are putting any capex for any energy saving, that should be either subsidized or whatever the, yeah, any subsidy, interest benefit, whatever the way. Yeah, we can send you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shekhar. I think that was a very, very valid point and a very good point that you raised. Now, I would like to request my dear colleague, Mr. Mahaske, Executive Director, Mask Seal. How do you see the momentum in the near future? Do you really think that India can make significant progress to adopt sustainable energy?
Hi, good afternoon to everyone. So I feel that India can make a very significant progress to adopt sustainable energy, as India is playing a very major and important role in shaping the sustainable development goals, what the government has decided. What we heard from our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, that India is planning to invest and install about 500 gigawatt of sustainable energy. So this should reduce the emissions by 45%. This would be a very good thing for the humans and for the animals as well. Right now, 75% of the Indian electricity is still produced by coals, which is one of the major effects for the increase of the carbon dioxide in the air. But this initiative, what I believe, is not only done by the government. I think we industries are also responsible for it. As for that, I believe government has already put some subsidies to it, but maybe government can, advertise the subsidies or maybe give some more benefits for the subsidies. Maybe all the industries will definitely look for renewable energy like solar, wind powered. As of now, we have invested about 500 kilowatt we are producing by solar energy ourselves. And I think if we all contribute to this, I think this momentum can be a very good success.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahaske. Thank you. Dear Pushpinder Singh Jadhav ji, so how do you see the growth momentum in fabrication industry?
Thank you, Karan. I come from ISJAC Titan Metal Fabricator, and this company suits very well with the agenda of this meeting, because this is a joint venture company. This is a joint venture between ISJAC Heavy, which is an Indian company, and a California-based company, Titan Metal Fabricator. So we entered into this JV in 2015, and this is mainly for the reactive metal equipments, where we make titanium, zirconium, tantalum, and niobium equipment. So we talk about this market. Then India, we were having suppliers who were making titanium equipment. Zirconium, there is only one. Tantalum and niobium, there was no one. So all these tantalum and niobium were being imported either from Germany or US or from China. So once we entered into this JV, have started manufacturing these equipment, the shift has been quite good. We have been able to book orders from India as well as for abroad. We have been supplying to a lot of chemical industries and fine chemical industry. Also, the Make in India has helped us a lot, because otherwise these titanium licensed equipment, either there was one company in India or they were being imported. So with the Make in India concept, licensors were forced by the PSUs to qualify more vendors, and that's how we pitched into that market. And we got good orders for the licensed equipment. So if you see this growth market, if we talk in the last 4 years, I have seen a lot of growth in the tantalum and niobium market in India, which was not there earlier. Somehow, as Mr. Sanjeev shared, that the downtime is very important for the industry. Somehow the industry is realizing the factor, and they are upgrading the metallurgies. So from Hastelloy or from silicon carbide, now they are upgrading to the metals, to tantalum, niobium, and there is a paradigm shift. Now we are getting very regular inquiries in tantalum and niobium, which was not there 4 years back. We are supplying a lot of equipments also in these metallurgies. So that is something, and which is sustainable. Another thing is that the chemical industry with the China plus one concept, they are getting orders from BASF, Bayer to make fine chemicals for them, which earlier they were getting manufactured in China. And they have their own specifications which metallurgies are to be used. So these exotic metallurgies are coming into picture more and more, and we are seeing a lot of increase in the demands in India. A lot of projects are coming up as the chemical industry is booming. So a lot of projects are there, and this industry is reactive metal and exotic metallurgy is booming in the last 4 years. Sir has asked some suggestions. So if we talk about these reactive metals, everything is imported for us. In India, we don't make any raw material, whether it's titanium, zirconium, tantalum, niobium. Everything is imported. And the duty structure is not very suitable for us, to be very true. We are importing at raw material at a higher duty, while
there is inverted duty structure.
Yeah, inverted duty structure. We will take it up. And another main issue what we are facing right now is in the zirconium metallurgy. China is not exporting zirconium to India, so we have to import from Europe or US. The price is itself 30 to 40% costlier than China. Apart from that, addition of the duty. So now, though the customers which was chasing us 1 year back when there was no restriction on sourcing from China, now they are preferring to source this zirconium equipment directly from China rather than sourcing from India. So whatever efforts we have put in the last 5 years, they are going in the way now.
Have you given any reference to our department?
Not as of now, sir.
Kindly.
Right.
Thank you so much, Pushpinderji. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to request Mr. Prashant Mishra. How do you see Make in India initiatives and production-linked schemes making a difference?
Thanks, Karan, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Prashant from Premier Tech. Those actually a global leader for providing packaging automation for chemical, petrochemical, and all manufacturing sectors. So, being as a global leader in automation solution provider company, Make in India is always encouraged to deliver a lot of automation projects for leading Indian chemical and petrochemical companies. So just as example, recently in last 3 years, we have supplied more than 10 numbers of complete automation solutions to leading Indian petrochemical sectors. I mean, as a help, I would say that this will, encourage us to, first qualify for the bidding process of this industry. And because we had experience, so based on that, we develop a local automation solution through our satellite manufacturing process from our global team, and deliver a lot of things itself. So I would say nowadays, not only for these sectors, but for other leading growing sectors like a carbon black, like a food sector industries, we deliver a lot of 100% made in India solutions to them. So it's just reduce our import burdens for critical component of these sector equipments, and encourage us to improve our export market, to improve our margin and all. So having said that, I feel like there is a lot of opportunity for us to provide a visibility of made in India solution across the globe, and reduce our dependency on export or other market solution provider things. So That's all from my side.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Tim Wilkins, how do you see Make in India?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit outside of this, I guess, so I don't work in India, so I've got an external perspective. We represent a German manufacturer, and I guess that the representative, or we have a reputation for quality, I guess. As far as I see from external, the Indian market is a low cost, or I should say a price competitive, a price competitive product which is coming out. I would say that the Make in India, I think, is important. I think also to make sure that the quality of the products that are coming out is very important if you're looking at the global market as well. So I think the price competitiveness is already there. I think it's important if you're going to be doing Make in India that we focus on best practices and make sure that it can be competitive on a quality standpoint as well for the rest of the market. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you. Now, dear Vikramananji from IEC FabCam, what is your opinion about the competitiveness about the Indian sector, and how do you think the adoption of technology can make a difference?
Yeah, thank you, Karan, for the opportunity to speak. So we'll split the question in two. The first one was what I think about the competitiveness of Indian market. Yeah. So as Tim said, the competitiveness in terms of price is very high, but the competitiveness in terms of quality is not that high. I'd like to offer a different perspective on this. Since most Indian companies are manufacturing for Indian customers, I would say that the demand for quality from the customer side is a bit low. The demand for a more competitive price is very high. So when we personally experience this, you can really see it when we give a quotation to a client and the technical committee sort of approves it, and then it goes to the purchase department. This purchase department is completely decoupled from the technical department. So then they go simply by price. And in India, you can always find something cheaper than what you make, right? The purchase department can always find somebody cheaper than you. Then the question comes, why should I buy from you? So what we say to them is, there is something called as being the lower cost now versus the lowest life cycle cost, right? So we tell them, we may not be cheaper now, but in the life cycle of this equipment, the design life is about 20 years. So when you look at the cost, looking back at 20 years, you know, we'll be cheaper. But the thing is, he's doing his job at that moment of time. And sometimes that message doesn't get across. So if we are going to have high quality products which are going to be world beating, the Indian customer has to be more stringent. You know, when buying equipment from India, the Indian customer has to demand quality. So when the Indian customer starts demanding quality, the Indian manufacturers will definitely rise. And when they rise, then exports will not be a problem. So most companies are serving the Indian market and also exporting. So these are two different customers completely. The Indian customer wants a low price, but the foreign customer wants high quality. So these two cannot go together, right? So you can either have a company which has a quality focus, or you can have a company which has a cost focus. As you said rightly, there is nothing called cheap and best. You can have one of the two. You can't have two from the same company. So the Indian customers have to rise. The second part of the question is, what was the second? Something about technology.
Yeah, I was talking about how do you think the adoption of technology can make a difference?
Yeah, the adoption of technology definitely is going to be a positive. There's no debating that. The question really is, how does technology pervade into the industry? So I've spent quite some time in Netherlands and Germany. And what I've seen there is that there is a strong industry and academia interface. Technology flows from the academia into the industry. But in India, it doesn't happen so, right? So the academia is completely disconnected from the industry. They have their own, research, which actually none of us care that much about. None of those topics are really interesting for the industry. They are a bit disconnected. So from what I see from Germany and from the Netherlands, most industry drives research actually in research institutions. Industry should be given an opportunity to set agendas in research institutions. We should be given a voice, whether this technology that they're developing is going to be used in the next 50 years or not. So a lot of research institutions are doing very fundamental research, something which in our lifetimes is not going to yield a result, right? Whereas as an industry, we have pressing problems, right? And sometimes we go to industries and they are very disconnected from us. But even then, we have been successful. We are an R&D based company, so we develop certain processes along with the process equipment. We have had success in some research institutions, but mostly with professors who have worked abroad. They are aware of the importance of developing unique solutions for the industry at that point. So we are working with IIT Madras, some of the CSIR institutions, but mostly we see that they are quite disconnected. So the only way technologies can come in is if government funding goes into the research institutions a little bit more, and also we should be given an opportunity to set some research agendas for them, so that we'll have some technology and so that we can become process owners. Right now we are all equipment manufacturers.
Portal. We are working in a portal where the academic institution will upload the research.
Yeah.
And we will bring synergy between the industry and academic institution in that portal. And the industry will upload their problems. Right. So the research in the academic institution will be industry aligned.
Right.
It's not like for research purpose or publication of paper or something that we are working on. Probably that will help this.
That'll help a lot once it comes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Anand. Gentlemen, we are short of time, so I would like to wrap it up here. Now, that was really healthy and powerful discussion, especially the way Mr. Banerjee raised or handled the supply chain disruption and the other examples shared with my other colleagues. I believe we all live in a very dynamic world where change is the only constant thing. One thing for sure that I feel after today's discussion is that we ought to invest heavily in R&D. If we have to stay ahead of the game, then we must innovate. With global players, and last but not the least, I strongly believe that these are interesting times globally, especially in India. This is just the beginning for India. I'm very excited to cover this market. I'm very excited to see how this is going to grow. And obviously, there is a lot more to see in the Indian growth of PVPE industry. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to request Shri Susanta Kumarji to kindly release the knowledge paper.
I would like to first take view of Mr. Vikas on the deliberation, his views. Then we will do that.
Sure. Thank you, Rohit sir. So I was expecting a lot of grilling, but thanks for sparing me. And I am disappointed also, to be frank. Today's topic, theme of the discussion is technology, innovation, collaboration in a supportive ecosystem. Ecosystem is a big word. If from our perspective, that is Government of India, we feel we have three components, important components for the innovation. That is, one is industry, second is academia, and third one is a student. Industry to come forward with their problems, practical problems. What Mr. Vikram Anand was said, that is what I was looking for. Second thing is academia. We are in a basic sciences still. Our institutes, brain is there, infrastructure, a sort of infrastructure is there, but application, the application of those research into the market is not available. Third is the student who will carry forward this torch in the future. So, Government of India thinks that it is a innovation is a industry-driven program, and we are there only to handhold. We will give you a nudge only. Where you want to go is depends on the industry. We have created a islands. Industry has created a island. मेरे को इस चीज़ का ज़रूरत है. I will make this product and it will be used for them only. Where is a ecosystem? Nobody talked about this ecosystem. You are doing whatever best you can do for your company, but you have done for India. Where is the ecosystem? For that, it is very important for everybody. We know when we started looking into it 2012-13, that what is the issue? There is an issue of confidence. There is an issue of confidentiality. Confidence per se from industry towards institutes, that whether they will be able to come up with the solution you are seeking. And confidentiality as a very competitive market, everybody is very in a closed shell to share their data and whatever it is. But to start with, I will give some inputs and how we are trying to do it. Mr. Nand Kumar is very well aware of all the things because he is. Yes. That is what I am trying to say. Yes, sir. So I will be taking not more than, I have taken 3 minutes, 7 more minutes. So basically we came across this thing and we tried to make a linkage between industry and academia, and in a phase 1, one of the vertical was tips, technology, innovation platforms. As on date we have basically in this 6 platform has been made by IIT Madras, CMTI, ICAT, ARI, BHEL and HMT. HMT in collaboration with ISC Bangalore. Each platform is catering for a novel idea. IIT Madras is looking for the robotics, BHEL as its name suggests for heavy industries and so forth. So it is very much there in our website per se. As on date, sir, 72,000 students, academia and industries has logged in, and they have given 144 grant challenges. Out of these, we have already sanctioned 34 technologies, futuristic technologies. It is not that we have not received anything. People have shared their problems, industry has shared their problems, and we have come up with, students and academia has come up with the solutions. Industry has accepted those solutions. We have given 80%, 20% given by the industry. It is not that there is no brain, but you have to have faith on your institutes also. Same after what we got into the things, then we in 2014 this we carried forward in January this year only. We come up with the phase 2 of the scheme, and already we have sanctioned 28 projects of worth 900 crores in last 10 months and dispersed 95 crores already. I know 1200 crores for such a big industry is nothing, but we would just want, see, everybody is after subsidy. Sorry to one of the Mr. Shashi Shekhar, but capital goods industry is such a huge industry. Please don't expect that capex is not with Government of India. We can nudge you, we can give you new ideas. You come with the ideas, we will give you solution. Try to patch up with the institutes which can give you solutions. We are like Mr. Vikram Anand said that we should have Fraunhofer Germany, Catapult in UK. We are in constant touch, and whatever they are doing with the help of industry, not with the government. Today what Fraunhofer is not due to Government of Germany. It is due to the industry of Germany. So don't expect government to put fund into it, but yes, we are handholding. We have already, as I have already told, we have done 9 COEs, Center of Excellence, 3 CFCs. We have already done 6 testing centers, 8 accelerator, different verticals. I will not go into detail, as Saras was mentioning that we can have once again initiative taken by Government of India. We can have one more session. We are okay with it. Few points, what you told me, I will like to address if, sir, you permit.
Timing, we are running short of time. We'll have a separate session.
Okay, done.
The point what Mr. Bikas told is that, see, okay, there are some issues, but the government is with industry. Government is with industry. Government is there for the resolving issues of the industry as far as possible. We are not, you are different, government is different. We are together in this to avail the opportunity available with us to further our sector, further our industry. So whatever issues are there, some specific, even where some incentive is required, that government is thinking. Already there are PLI schemes in 14 sectors. Some other sectors also government is working on it. So of course the time was short and the specific issue was given by our moderators. But I was expecting that a free discussion could have given more ideas. And the 1 hour is not sufficient. So we'll have separate session. We'll take the help of heavy industry and other ministry, even MNRE and power. And there are many issues that afflict our industry, even our energy efficiency. Like there are many pumps and valves that is there in our industry which are energy guzzlers. So we have to, how do we replace those equipment with energy efficient machines? So that is also, and that requires capital. Though it gives energy benefit immediately within a year, you will recover the capital, but where is the capital to invest? And where is the capital to replace those equipments? So these are challenges. What are the challenges of our industry? First, that we should have identified. Of course, industry has, the challenges are available. And how to overcome the challenges. And we have to see in totality. It is only, we cannot think of only machine, pumps, valves as a single. It is like a link in the chain of things. If this sector is not having problem, then the entire system will collapse. So we have to think in totality, and we have to accelerate what our aspirations, accelerate towards our aspirations. That is also important. There is no time. We have to work very fast. So that is the message, and we will be keeping, separate session we will keep. It is a part of India Camp, and we had just got a trailer of this thing, and the issue again we will see it for longer time, and we will take extra time from heavy industry. We will request senior officials also, sir, and then we will resolve further any issues is there. And these issues which have come up here, then also we will take it up with the respective ministers. Thank you. Actually, now we are having another session at 3:30. Actually, we are completely out. We have to go to, many of us, I think, will join there also. There is a session on India EU that is starting at 3:30. So I will invite you there to also kindly join there.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So lastly, I would just request you if you could just release the knowledge paper.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, please.
Thank you. I once again thank from our department side for you all to take time out and kindly join me here. Thank you very much. And I will expect that we'll have frequent more such sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also thank Mr. Pikas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
utilize.